Hey, Ricky.
The doctor is in the house.
All the way live, brother. All the way live.
You got a problem. You got a problem because I just heard this guy named John Lewis says it's all about good trouble. So I think you're going to be in some trouble right about now.
Only kind of trouble there is good trouble.
That's right. Oh! Come on now. Come on now.
Let me turn my air conditioner off.
Oh, you're going to sweat it out, huh? We just got through talking about that.
He's going to get in the way.
Yo, Doug.
Yes, sir.
He going to turn his air conditioner off. I asked you about mine. You said you don't hear it. He going to turn his off.
Hey, listen, he said he's going to get in the way and get into good trouble. That's what he said.
Yeah, but he going to sweat it out, man. He down there in North Kakalaki, man. No, it get hot down there.
Amen. Okay, well, we live. Hey, Rick, we live on YouTube. You guys go ahead. You go. I'll be back if you need me for something.
Wait a minute. We waiting for him, right? Come back, right?
He's back.
I don't see him.
Here.
I see him.
Oh, okay, there you go. I see you now.
What you talking about? I see the doc.
Okay, he just went out on my side. He just went out on my side.
That's something on yours. We see him loud and clear here. He's working loud and clear.
But I didn't do anything. He came on, went out. I didn't do anything.
Hey, he's here. He's having a sip of his Diet Coke right now.
Okay.
It's got to be Diet Coke.
I just made that up. Man. I just made that up, Herb.
So I don't want diet nothing, man.
Okay.
He's going. As of right now, I don't see him. He came in and went right back out again.
Well, we see you, we see him, and we see the lobby. So, I mean, what's going on with your connection, bro?
All right. Well, all right. We're going to just talk it out.
Yeah.
It would be nice to see Dr. Harris.
But, we can see him. I can see him. He can see you.
Why can't you see
us?
There
you go. Oh, you in now. You in there. I see you now.
Okay. Thank you.
So, Dr. Harris, how you doing today?
Man, I'm doing incredibly great. And you?
I'm doing excellent. But I want to thank you for being a part of this What's in Your Hand radio program. And, you've been a guest on there many, many times. And I would think that if there's anybody I want to talk to doing what is called a pandemic, it would be you. Because every time anything I talk to you about, anything in reference to success, you right there with me, man. And I love that. Love that, man. Very rare I hear you talk about some junk, man. Some garbage. You don't do that, man.
Yeah, man. I tell you, there's so much good stuff in the world, so many important things to talk about. I hate wasting time. And every moment, my question is always, what's the best use of my time right now?
Okay.
I consider my goals, my vision, and my purpose. And anything that doesn't really fit in with that, I'm not going to spend too much time doing it.
Okay. Well, let me just say you are Dr. Herbert Harris. You're the author of 12 Universal Laws of Success. That book has been a runaway success. And how many languages is that book in?
9 languages.
Wow. 9 languages.
We're heading for 10. We're negotiating Korea now.
Wow. Nice. So the first question I want to ask you is, what is this thing called personal excellence? What is that?
Well, let me ask you, are you recording the video? Because I don't see the record symbol up.
Doug has got that he's got it. He's recording.
Okay, okay.
So, hey, Doc, we're on YouTube live, and it automatically records on YouTube.
Oh, okay, because I was going to record it on my Zoom. Okay.
No, we record. It's automatic. It's on YouTube simultaneously, and it's automatically being recorded. And as soon as you guys get off, you'll be able to watch it on YouTube.
All right.
Okay. I'm looking at it. I'm looking at it on YouTube right now, so you're good.
Beautiful.
Hey, Doug, you know what happened? He heard that first question. He said, man, I got to record this. This got to be recorded. He's like, it's going to be one of them. It's going to be one of them kind of interviews.
Hey, Doc, we don't play around when you're showing up, man.
All right, man. Well, I appreciate that.
Hey, Doug, he said, it's going to be one of them. This thing got to be recorded.
We don't play like around. That? We don't play around when the doctor's showing up.
Dr. Herbert, you forgot I was a professional boxer, won
I hear
many
you,
fights
man.
in Madison Square Garden. And I said that to brag, I'm just telling you what I'm bringing to the table. And a lot of times, that's why I want to start out. What is this thing called personal excellence?
Well, you know, Ricky, personal excellence is something that we really, one of the things I worry about is it's disappearing. Dr. Martin Luther King says, if you're a street sweeper, you be the best street sweeper, that your streets are so clean that you can eat off of them. And so personal excellence is something inside. It's not what somebody else feels about what you've done, but it's about you feeling that you've done your absolute best with what you had to do it with. That's the key to life, personal excellence, that every moment, from moment to moment, you live your life flat out. It's like you're in the heavyweight championship every day. And every day you've got to be victorious. And so you live your life flat out saying, I did everything I could with what I had to do it with to make my life the way I want it to be.
Wow, that's beautiful. So John Lewis just made his transition, and they've been honoring him, and they just did the last memorial piece this past week. And when you watched that, did you get a chance to see some of it?
Oh, I saw it all.
You saw it all.
Yeah.
You saw it all.
Well, you know, Ricky, I had my daughter with me, and I wanted to impress upon her that there's certain historical events that you got to be there. You know, you don't want to read about it. You don't want somebody to tell you about it, but you got to be there. So when we had the March on Washington in 1963, I was there. So when they talk about it, I heard him speak in 1963.
Okay.
So I felt that my daughter and I wanted her to be there for the funeral. If it was possible, I would have been there in Atlanta.
Right. Wow. Okay, out of everything that you saw, what was the give me like three things that stood out for you during this event with John Lewis? Give me three.
Well, the first thing was the fact that you had 3 living presidents and a note from Jimmy Carter. So you really had the presence of 4 presidents. Now that in itself is serious. Okay.
Ooh, man.
And so when you look back over the millions of people that have lived in this country over the last 250 years, there are very few. They had 4 presidents there at his funeral. So that's number one. Number two, I love the fact that when President Barack Obama, former President Barack Obama, when he spoke, you know, you can talk about a person in high-sounding platitudes. You know, I've heard people do eulogies so disconnected from who the person really was that you want to go look in the casket and say, are you talking about him? And so President Barack Obama not only said the words that as a tribute to John Lewis, but the words that he said were a tribute to what John Lewis was all about. And so when he told about that there's no more Bull Connor, okay, and that right now that there are people in this country who are trying to undermine the vote, the very thing that John Lewis stood for, he was doing exactly what John Lewis would have done. So it's far beyond, you know, those people who are part of the people who President Barack Obama was talking about. Those very people are the ones that made all of the negative comments, you know, oh, he used the speech as a political platform. He delivered the speech in the nature of what, if John Lewis could have given his own eulogy, he would have said the same thing that Barack Obama said.
But I'm a little bit sad because you said that, because you said former president, Barack Obama is still my president right now. So you talking about former? I don't know what you mean by former. He's my president.
Well, he's my president too, but he's not the present occupant of the White House.
Well, we're not even gonna get into that part because we got too much positive stuff to talk about. We're gonna leave the negativity to the side for right now.
Yes. And the third thing that impressed me was the location. I have been in that church, and it was very fitting for him to be memorialized in the king that in the church that Dr. King ministered to for many years. So that was really like a full circle. He met Dr. King, I think, when he was 17 years old. He became a follower. He became a key person in the movement. And now at the end of that cycle, he is passing once again through the doors that Dr. King once held and once opened. So those are the three things that really impressed me.
And don't forget, he heard Dr. King first on the radio. On the radio. Whoa, on the radio. Yeah, no, I love that. So here's what stood out to me. Three quick things. One is when President Barack Obama came off the stage, when he finished his presentation, he stepped off, he stopped for a minute, thought, went in his pocket, pulled out his mask, put his mask on, and then moved forward. And then he also, when he gave daps to the minister, the pastor, he did it with the elbow.
Yes.
And he come up there hugging and went up there with the elbow. So that's one. Elbow, the mask. The other one, I heard the term, I don't know exactly how they used it, and I want to ask you about this. Spiritual awareness. I heard that term, and that term, I wrote that down. Like, what is that? What does spiritual awareness mean, Dr. Herbert Harris?
That's a great term, Ricky. And you're going to hear a lot more of it because the spiritual awareness, you see, we are spiritual beings. Very often people want to consider ourselves, we're human beings, you know. We are born, we live, and we die. But we are really spiritual beings having a human experience. When we look at the Indian philosophy of reincarnation, of the continuous chain of life, the spiritual awareness is an awareness that you are part of a spiritual evolution that's constantly taking place. You see, if the spiritual presence of you is an infinite being, is an infinite presence. If you think about this, each of us represents a soul and a spirit. If that spirit was not forever, then that means that when the universe was created, something was not done. The universe was created whole and complete. And so everything that is in it has always been here and will always be here. And so spiritual awareness, spiritual awakening is to recognize ourselves as a part of that grand scheme. It's like the universe is a great orchestra, a huge orchestra with millions of players. And spiritual awareness is recognizing that you're one of those players, that you have a place in that universal orchestra, that you have a note that only you can play, and yet you must be aware and conscious of that experience so that you can do what you have to do. When people don't realize that they're a part of the universal being, the universal consciousness, they do things that hurt themselves. They do things that dishonor themselves. But once you recognize that you're a part of universal consciousness, then that spiritual awakening makes it very clear to you what you have to do to make the world the way you want it to be.
Okay, got it. The other thing that stood out for me, are you familiar with this word called order? Order.
Order,
Are you familiar with that word?
Mm-hmm.
What does order, what becomes present for you when I ask you about what does order mean to you? Order.
Order means a proper sequence. You know, in the universe, you have certain things. You have principles. The 12 universal laws of success is really a photograph of the principles, a part of the universal principles. You have change, which is the process by which the universe evolves. And then you have order, which is the way it evolves. And so just, it's like as a boxer, the order of the fight determines how it goes. The announcer announces the fight. The referee gives the instructions. He tells the boxers to go back to their corners. They ring the bell. You come out swinging. You fight until the bell rings again. That's order. Can you imagine if the referee gave the instructions after the first round? Out of order.
Right,
so
right.
Order means that everything follows in the sequence that it is supposed to go. All things have a season. You have summer before you have fall. You have fall before you have winter. You have winter before you have spring, and then the whole cycle goes again. So order is how it goes, how it flows.
Yeah. And Dr. Harris, I've seen a few people come out in that first round, and all they doing is ducking. They ain't swinging, they ducking.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. My daddy was a boxer. He said, you got to learn how to bob. You got to learn how to weave. He says, the only thing is, don't bob when you should have weaved, and don't weave when you should have bobbed.
Right. That's right. That's right. So Dr. Harris, I was watching the soldiers. Dr. Harris, can you hear me?
Yes, I'm here. I can hear you.
Yeah. So I was watching the soldiers that carried the casket, and the order that they did what they did. Every step was in order. Every step to the side.
Yes.
Forward. Back.
Yes.
To the steps. I'm watching. I'm like, Mark, that. I've seen them. I never really paid attention to it like I did this. This time it was something special.
Yes.
When I seen how they did that, and what came to mind to me was order. Everybody was in step, in place. Left foot, right foot, left foot, right foot, to the side, the side. Man, that was special to me, just seeing that, how they did that, order.
Well, that whole military, that's, if you notice, there was one person from each branch of the military. You had the Navy, the Air Force, the Marines, the Army, everybody was represented. That's why you had all the different uniforms.
Wow.
And so that order goes to everything. It's all according to a certain protocol. There's even music that goes with it.
Now, if a person applies order in their life, what's the possibilities of them achieving success?
Well, I don't think you will have true success unless you apply the rules of order. And it's not really applying them. The rules of order always operate. It's whether you align with them or not. Okay. So the order, the vibration is always there. It's always doing what it does. But whether you can align with that vibration will determine whether you'll have the type of success that you're seeking. If you don't align, for example, with the order of thinking, of having positive thoughts, of realizing the first law of success, that you become what you think about most of the time. And so you must control your thoughts so that you don't have thoughts that you don't want to experience, because the law says if you think it, you're going to get it. So all of that is part of that order process for success. That order, the second law of success, in other words, you can be transformed from what you are to wherever you want to be. So the idea of order and success means you think it, you transform your thinking. That third law of success is you have a vision, for example, that you have to see what you want to be. If you can't see it, you can't be it. If you can't see the victor, if you can't see the life that you want to live exactly the way you want to live it, you won't have it. And so all of that is a part of the order that you must coincide with, that you must align with to create the life of your dreams.
Wonderful, wonderful. Now, habits. You hear people talk about bad habits, negative habits. Well, I'm wearing a cap today. My cap says success habits.
Yes.
So give me one success habit that will help someone improve their life.
Well, the most powerful success habit is to plan your day the night before.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't plan your day the night before, it's like going into the ring unprepared. Okay. And so if there was one thing that will change your life and change your possibilities for success, it's planning your day the night before, to visualize tomorrow exactly the way you want it to be. And then to not just say it, but to write out the steps, to write out the activities that you need to perform in order to make tomorrow exactly the way you want it to be. That to me is the key to success.
Okay, so now we're gonna take this to someplace else right about now. Do you know anything about the game of basketball?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Kobe Bryant blew me away when he wrote a book or wrote a letter to the game of basketball, and it was called Dear Basketball. Have you heard that yet?
No.
Yeah, I'm gonna send it to you as soon as we finish. I'm gonna send it to you. So he wrote this Dear Basketball letter. They turned it into a film. He won an Academy Award for the film. I mean, the fact that he would write a letter to something called basketball like that, and I just, that's, to me, that's like one of the things I think people have trouble with is creative imagination. That is pure creative imagination.
Yeah.
How do you think people can bring out their creative imagination? Because a lot of people suppress that area of their life. How can they bring that out more?
Well, once again, it's all about practice. You don't become a heavyweight fighter without practice, without training. And so your creative imagination, first, imagination itself is a skill. Is a skill that you practice. Oh, yes. Imagination is like generating images, imagination, creating images. And so many of us are so, let's just say, almost imprisoned by negative thinking, by past failures. You can imagine a boxer going in the ring and all he can think about is the last 10 fights he lost. Okay. I guarantee he's going to lose number 11. Okay. And so many times our images are dictated by our past experiences. So maybe we had a childhood where their parents were very critical, where they were not loving. Maybe, they weren't attentive, whatever. Then a person can let that framework color their future. And so their imagination now, their images in their mind are congruent with some negative beginnings, some negative past. Other people, you remember the basketball player Latrell Sprewell?
Yeah.
Okay.
He played for the Knicks for a little while too.
Yeah. Now he was a person that had incredible potential, but he never made it. Okay. And there's a commercial with him. It's probably the only commercial he's ever done. And the dad, I think, is talking to his daughter and is basically talking about, the future and success and how good things are coming. And Latrell's, the Sprewell's contribution was, he said, you know what? Success is only failure waiting to happen. What? Success is failure waiting to happen. And he lived his life like that. I mean, with all the potential, he was tall, he had ability, he had skills, but his mindset was such that he saw failure at every turn.
Yeah. Wow. Well, the reason why I brought up basketball, because on the basketball court, there are 5 players on the court at one time. And I wanted to ask you, who was your starting 5, your motivational success teachers starting 5?
My starting 5, well, you got, I tell you, one of the people that I studied, one of the early, and I'll say inspirational writers, you may not hear the name Goethe, a German, Goethe, Goethe, Johann von Goethe. And he wrote about human potential. Many of he was like an early thought leader.
Spell that for me again.
Johann Goethe, Goethe.
Okay, got it.
Goethe.
Okay.
He's German. Okay.
Right.
And he laid a foundation. You know, these are some of the people that laid the foundation for what we have. Goethe, I used to dream about him. Goethe was actually a lawyer. Okay. And he laid the foundation of the potential for mind and for thinking. A second person that was very interesting, of course, was Napoleon Hill. So Napoleon Hill took the patience to write it down. You know, many times people know the art and the lesson of success, but when you write it down, it's like the 10 Commandments. You know, Moses didn't come down saying the 10 Commandments. He came down with the 10 Commandments written in stone. And so that's one of the spiritual principles. It says, write the vision, make it plain upon tablets. And so in order to crystallize a thought, you have to write it down. So Napoleon Hill would be a key person because he laid it out, he wrote it down, and to this day, people are still reading it and it's still transforming lives. A third would be Earl Nightingale. Earl Nightingale really popularized it. He had one of the first spoken word hit records called The Greatest Secret. And the greatest secret was you become what you think about most of the time. So Earl Nightingale, he began to teach. He set up classes and seminars. He was like one of the early people in personal development.
And he was on the radio too.
Absolutely. He had a radio voice.
Yeah. Hello, this is Earl Nightingale.
Yes, yes. And the greatest secret is you become what you think about. And my fourth would be Reverend Ike.
Okay, wow.
You're tuned in to
GHCR.NYC,
Grant Houses Community Radio, home of the Community News Service.
Wow,
and
okay, I hear
the
this.
soul
Yeah.
of the Upper West Side.
Should I hold on a minute? Is that a station identification?
Station ID, yeah.
Okay.
Yes, it's finished.
Okay. So Reverend Ike was a person who, for me, on a personal level, you know, I worked with him for a couple of years, and I worked as the chief of staff for the Science of Living Institute. And what I saw from him was that he had the ability to unite the Bible and the personal development principles. So he used the Bible as a source for personal development. And he would transform the scripture into the success action principles. And then the fifth person was Tony Robbins. And Tony had really popularized a lot of the success philosophy. He did his workshops, and one of the beautiful things about Tony's workshops were that they took place over basically a 3 or 4 day period. And so you know, you go to a class for 1 day, you take notes, etc. 2 days, you got to go back. It takes you 3 days in a seminar environment. There's something about the 3-day cycle, like Christ arose from the dead after 3 days. There is something about a 3-day cycle that helps you bring about the change, the transformation experience. And so taking Tony's training, really, the thing that really transformed my life was the fire walk. And I walked on, I think it's 16 feet of hot coals, 1,100 degrees hot. But what it did, it said that whatever you fear, whatever physical obstacle you see, you still have the ability to overcome it. If somebody tells you, say, Ricky, you can walk over 16 feet of hot coals and not get burned. I know if somebody told me that, I tell them, ain't no way I can't do that. I'd even go on and do what many people who accept limitations do. I would say nobody can walk on 16 feet of hot coals. But what I learned from Tony Robbins was your mind has the ability to even transform your physical body so that you don't get burned. So that you have the ability to walk across those coals and get on the other side and your feet are just fine. So that's my starting team.
Wow, that's a strong team there, boy.
Hey.
A lot of people don't know about Gerda, but pretty much everybody else, I mean, maybe a few know Earl Nightingale unless you're in the game.
Yes.
But that's a strong team right there. Reverend Knight, Tony Robbins. Wow.
Yes.
You can't lose with the stuff the stuff they using. You can't lose the stuff they using.
Stuff they use, and you can't miss with stuff like this.
Yeah. Wow. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
So Friday, I'm gonna say I was on the bus. I think I mentioned this to you, and I was and I'm not gonna get into a whole story because it's like a long story.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, it's a long story, and I found $900 on the bus, a check for $900. I'm not gonna tell you the whole story. This is a part of it. And actually, I didn't find it. The guy I was talking to,
right?
Peter Noel. I don't know if you know who he is. TV guy, radio guy.
Yeah, I know Peter.
Yeah, me and him talking. He see the check. He said, "Yo, you dropped this," and he put it in my hand and gave it. I said, "No, I didn't drop this." So, long story short, I tried to give it to the bus driver. He won't take it.
Mm.
He said, "Give it to the dispatcher." I tried to give it to the dispatcher. He won't take it. So I'm stuck with a doggone check. So I looked up the name, and I called the guy who wrote the check. He was a judge actually, and he said that that check belonged to a guy that had been staying in his apartment. What do you call that when someone stays at your apartment? They're renting space in your apartment.
Like a subtenant, a sublet.
Yeah. So he was getting his deposit back. That was his deposit, $900. So he said, so he gave me the guy's number. He said, call him. He needs that check. I called him. I didn't get him. Called him back. I got him. We made arrangements. I gave him his check. He was so happy. And I wanted to share that with a lot of people. I shared it with people that I know personally because it's not that wasn't a big deal. But it's just that I want people to say, hey, you know what? Try to do something to help somebody else. And if that was me, I want them to give me my check back too if they found it. So what do you think about that whole scenario about
Ricky,
giving back, yeah. Go ahead.
When we look at all of the success philosophy, all of the political stuff, there's two principles that you can live your whole life on. Whether you've been to school, well, you can have no education, some education. And the two principles are, one, that there is a God, that there is a source, that there is a reason for you to be alive. That's number one.
Come on now.
And the second principle is do unto others as you would have them do unto you. And so on those two principles, even Jesus said, on these two commandments, the first and second commandment, on these two commandments hang all the law and the prophecy. Everything else is a correlation, is a corollary, okay? But those two principles, that you have a source and to do unto others as you would have them do unto you. So and you said it right there, you said, if I lost my check, man, I'd like for somebody to find me and get it back.
Yeah.
Okay. If I lost my money, I'd like for somebody to find it and get it back. And so many times we live our lives not thinking that, not doing that, not saying, hey, if I judge my actions by myself, so would I like to be stolen from? No, then don't steal. If I judge my actions by myself, would I like to be lied to? No, well, then don't lie.
Right.
And it goes on down the 10 commandments and others. And so if that is your habit, as you said, your habits make you. If that is your habit, if that is your raison d'etre, the way that you live, the way that you operate, if you always operate with that principle, don't do anything to anybody that you don't want done to you, we would have no problems. There would be no racism. There would never have been slavery. All the terrible things in the world would never have happened, because the perpetrators would say, oh, you know what? I wouldn't want to enslave anybody. I wouldn't want to steal from anybody. I wouldn't want anybody to kill me, so I won't kill them. So that's, it's really interesting, Ricky. Life is just that simple. You don't need a book of philosophy. You don't need any of that. That simple principle, do unto others that I would have them do unto me. You'd be cool.
Now, let me back up for a second. When we talked about your starting five, I noticed that there's not a woman on your team. Now, what's going on? What's happening there?
Well, I haven't really studied with any women. If there was a woman that I did study with, I really haven't studied with Johnny Coleman. I studied with her, Johnny Coleman, out of Chicago. She had a church in New York called the Brooklyn Truth Center. And she was a dear friend of Reverend Ike's. And she gave me my first speaking opportunity. Okay. So Johnny Coleman was a strong influence. I didn't study with her to the extent that I did with the others, but she was a very strong influence. To any other women, but Johnny Coleman was the main one. And then there's another lady that I like to listen. There are three women that I like to listen to, but I have not had an opportunity to study with them up close. See, you put me on the spot, Ricky. I have to go back into my notes. I guess I live in such a male-dominated environment that I think mainly of the men, but definitely Johnny Coleman. And I listen to her all the time. And the what's the lady? I love her stuff. She does a lot of stuff on the internet right now. It's not Alexander.
Lisa Nichols.
Who?
Lisa Nichols.
No, not Lisa. No. I know Lisa. But there are three women. Johnny Coleman is one of them. There are two others that I have spent time listening to and following some of their teachings.
Right. Well, the thing is, Dr. Harris, I know some powerful women. I know some women of success, achievement, powerful, have written books, teaching, doing the thing. But it's almost like they had the doll experiment, and they asked the black kids to pick up two dolls, white doll, black doll, pick up the best doll, and they would always pick up the white doll. So it's like something in the air. There's a lot of women Like I said, I know some powerful, successful, and dynamic women of achievement that I know personally, know and love. But there's a lot of women that for some reason, of course, what's in the ether, feel that men are better than them or more dominant, stronger, better. And I disagree with that. I totally disagree with that.
Right.
Because I know, go ahead. You say, I got something to come back with behind that.
No, just really reaffirming what you said. We really live in such a male-dominated society, you know, that that's just a fact of how stuff is. I think that men have been running the world for thousands of years. It's in the last really 100, 150 years, women have even been permitted to move out on the stage, from voting to teaching. I mean, in many countries right now, they don't even want to educate women. So,
but see, I know a young lady that I've seen with you see these two eyes right here? With these eyes. No one told me. I saw it. I seen a young lady tear up a stage, and she got her own band. And she tore up a stage. And I loved every bit of it. Matter of fact, you might know this young lady. She got the name of Olivia Harris. I think you might know that young lady. She got her own band. I ain't got a band. I wish I had a band.
Yes,
I want me a band now.
Well, I tell you.
Do you know Olivia Harris?
Oh, let me tell you, I know her very well. That's my daughter. And but I'll tell you something interesting, Ricky. You know, she's staying with me here in North Carolina.
Yeah.
I've been watching her grow. So she's become an excellent student. We just had a nice conversation this morning, and we've been really blessed. We have 3 houses right together. We have the main house where I live, and then we have the house next door. I bought the house next door when my aunt was alive, and I came to take care of her so that I'd have some space. You know how when you come to live with your parents and they've taken up all the space, you know, when I came to take care of my aunt, all I had was my bedroom and 1 drawer. So I ended up buying the house next door so I'd have a place to stay and be close to her.
Right, nice.
So that house now we call it the studio. That's where we work. We have our video equipment set up. My office is there. And then the next house is Sandra's house, which we were going to make it a rental property, but at this point we hadn't done it. We were still repairing it after Hurricane Florence. I mean, we had over $50,000 worth of damage, and we're like 90% there. So when my daughter left New York to get away from the pandemic, we put in quarantine in the house there. She liked it so much. So she said, all right, well, you stay in that house. So we have the 3 houses right together. The yards are adjoining. So she'll run over and we'll talk. And, you know, as a matter of fact, this morning, I told her, bring my piano back. She took my piano over to her house. So when I get in the morning, I want to play my piano, and she got my piano. I'm like, you bring my piano back. But I'm able to watch her grow, 1, as a musician, as an artist, but 2, as a person, you know, to like a lot of the principles that we're teaching, we didn't figure them out until we were a whole lot younger. I mean, a whole lot older, you know, 40 years old, and I still wasn't sure where the bathroom was. Okay. So we didn't get it until we got a lot of our teaching along the way, but she's getting it at a young age. And so the stuff that we're teaching, she's living. And that's a beautiful, beautiful thing, man, to see that happening.
Awesome. That is awesome. Well, I'm going to pop. So back to, what do you say about the way a person treats someone? What does that say about how they feel about themselves?
Well, Ricky, you hit the nail on the head, brother. You see, you treat people basically the way you feel. And so when you find like people who are abusers, they were often abused.
Right.
And so many times
not
the
funny.
way you treat other people is a reflection of how you feel about yourself. And that's awesome. I mean, one of the interesting experiments, it wasn't, I won't call it an experiment, but there was a lady that I grew up with who had polio. And you remember, well, you may be a little young for that, but polio, they'd have the metal braces on their legs. And when they walked a certain kind of way. If you can imagine walking with metal braces on your legs, you have to kind of kick your leg out to walk. And so years later, I saw this lady's daughter. And I said, wow, I didn't realize she had polio too. And so my friend told me, they said, no, she never had polio. I said, well, why did she walk like that? Because she saw her mother walking the way you would walk with the metal on your legs. She walked like that naturally.
Mm.
And so what I'm saying is that whatever you incorporate into your consciousness as the way the world should be is how you radiate that out to the world. And so hurt people hurt people. Mean people are mean to other people. Killers kill. So do unto others as you would have them do unto you works both ways now. Okay, you have to really work at improving yourself before you can really relate to other people. Sometimes we'll find that I call it the law of harmonics, that you have to find yourself in vibration and in tune with certain things. The first law of harmonics is to be in tune with your source, to have a vibration of destiny, a vibration of purpose, that you come from something to do something, that you didn't just happen and drop out of the sky, that you were born and created with a purpose. The second law of vibration is vibration with self, that you are accepting of yourself, that you, as we started today, you task yourself with a striving for excellence, that you, as a person, you work to be the best that you can be in everything that you do. Mm-hmm. The third harmonic is the vibration between you and other people. And so if your vibration with yourself is out of order, then the vibration with you and other people is going to be out of order.
Okay.
So it's always an inside job. When you work on your own vibration, then you can relate to another person. When I see people in relationships, and you know, so many times people will get into a relationship with a person that they, you know, our intuition is our inner radar. It tells us who we're dealing with. I guarantee you that whenever you've been in a bad situation, a bad relationship, that there was a little voice in the back of your head telling you no. From the very beginning, the moment you saw that person, that little voice said, no, no, run away. And even though you get into that relationship, that little voice keeps telling you, no, no, this is not the one. But so often when a person is not together themselves, when that vibration, that self with self is not in order, then they will attract people who complement whatever that imperfect vibration is within them. So people who are abused often attract abusers.
Mm-hmm.
And so this harmonic concept means that you always have to be in tune with your source, in tune with yourself before you deal with others. You even have to have a proper vibration with things. You know, there in the Bible, it says, seek first the kingdom, the consciousness, and then all these things will be added unto you. So if you seek first the things, then your consciousness can be out of order. So there are people that live their lives looking for brand names. You know, they won't buy a pocketbook that doesn't have somebody's name on it. They won't go into the gym without Everlast gloves. I'm sure that there are other gloves around that work just as well. Okay. But many times that vibration of things can rule you. So this whole idea of harmonics is all about, let me get in rhythm with my source, with myself, with the people around me, and with the things that I pursue.
Right. Now, Dr. House, let me just share with you Robert Kreiner, his starting five.
Yes.
Number one, who he said was his actual point guard, was Maya Angelou.
Okay.
Number two, he said Napoleon Hill.
Yes.
Number three, he said Les Brown.
Okay.
Number four, he said Tony Robbins.
Yes.
And number five, he said Louise Hay.
Yes. I'm familiar with
that was a very, I thought that was a very interesting choice.
Yes.
And then he went, like, I had to do on this case, so he wouldn't add the rules. He said, I need a sixth player. I need a player coming off the bench. I said, okay, man, you know, and he came with Dottie Waters coming off the bench, because, you know, you're familiar with Dottie Waters, right? She had helped people to get into the speaking business. She wrote a book called Speak and Grow Rich.
Oh, yes, yes.
Yeah, you know Dottie Waters, right?
Yes, yes.
So if you want, you can come up with a bench, somebody, not that they're a bench player, but they're still great, but just to have that six man on your team.
Yes.
You want to add one more?
Well, I have to say, you know, my friend Les, you know, sometimes you can be so close to somebody that you don't necessarily see the total impact of them. And I have to say that Les has had a profound influence on me as a friend, as a business associate. We were all in a business with Dick Gregory many years ago. And as a person who has fought through many challenges to be victorious. So I would add Les, and you know, every team has a backup. When we talked about women, Abraham Hicks, who's really Esther Hicks.
Okay.
He channels her speaking through the voice of Abraham Hicks. She's a powerful being, a powerful speaker right now. She does a lot of, you know, at this point in my life, I'm doing a lot more channeling than all the knowledge, everything that you need to know, everything that is knowable already exists. It's just that we have to create the consciousness where we can receive it. It's like life is a great skyscraper. And as you go up on the elevator of life, your consciousness then gives you access to the different floors.
Wow.
And so that's where I'm at right now, just channeling the different floors of consciousness so that I can be all that I was put here to be.
Well, let me give you my starting five.
Yes, sir.
My starting five would be Napoleon Hill. Jim Rohn.
Jim Rohn, yes.
Jim Rohn, I love Jim Rohn. I actually saw him speak twice and got a chance to speak with him briefly on 2 occasions. Jim Rohn. And I'm gonna give you, and I'm gonna give you a quote of his afterwards. I want you to kind of break that down for me. My third would be Les Brown.
Yes.
He was the guy that opened the door for me in the personal development world, to know that there was this whole world of personal development.
Yes.
Because if it wasn't for him, I might not have been in that bookstore that day on Mark 125 looking for success books. And when I saw 12 Universal Laws of Success, I said, who's this? And she told me about you. So Les Brown kind of opened the door for that. So Napoleon Hill, Jim Rohn, Les Brown, Herbert Harris. You made the list, man. Herbert Harris. Herbert Harris is on my top 5, starting 5, man. And then last, I said, I have to do this. And she's good. Lisa Nichols.
Yes.
And one of the reasons why I picked her, because I went to CEO Space 3 times.
I remember that.
With Bernie Dorman. You know, Bernie Dorman made his transition. Did you know that?
I didn't know that.
He did just recently too, like this month in July.
Wow.
So we'll talk about that later. Yeah, he made his transition, man. But they're going to keep the organization going on CEO space. But Lisa Nichols went to CEO space 42 times.
Wow.
42 times. That's how she got into the book Chicken Soup for the African American Soul, Chicken Soup for the African Woman's Soul, got on Oprah, and it was just, the sky's the limit. She just took off like a rocket from there. But she went 42 times, I went 3.
Right.
She went 42 times.
Wow.
CEO space. Matter of fact, the chicken soup idea was developed in that CEO space environment.
Wow.
Yeah, and we'll talk about that later. So the quote, the Jim Rohn quote that I want to share with you, and I want you to break this down for me. Jim Rohn says, "Stand guard at the door of your mind." What does that mean, Dr. Harris? Stand guard.
Stand guard at the door of your mind.
Yeah.
The thoughts that you let come into your mind will dictate your life. You know, the other side of the thought, the first law of success is you become what you think about most of the time. And so if you let negative thoughts come into your life, they'll manifest into your mind, they'll manifest as a negative experience. And so you have to be totally watchful over the thoughts you permit to come into your mind. One of our great powers is the power of choice. We choose the thoughts that we let in. We either choose it affirmatively by saying, you know, that's not for me. Or if we don't do anything, that thought will come on in. If we don't stop it, it's like weeds. You don't have to plant weeds, but if you don't do something, the weeds are going to grow. And so with thoughts, if you don't have positive thoughts to balance your life, negative thoughts will come into your life and will consume you.
All right. All right. Well, we're just about to the end now, but I want to share this with you. I've been doing these 30-day challenges. I've been finding them very effective. I did one. I did the push-up challenge. I did push-ups for 30 days in a row.
Wow. Did
that. So then I came back. It wasn't really a 30-day challenge. It was during the month of July, like in June, I did 50 sets of 100 push-ups, not in a row, but 100, 50 times.
Okay.
In June.
Yeah.
Right? So I said in July, I want to do 100. I did 100 push-ups 100 times in the month of July. So these challenges have been very good for me. So my next challenge is going to be, I want to do a 30-day challenge of no complaining.
30 days of no complaints.
About nothing.
Okay.
Donald Trump, the Republicans,
You're
complaining about nothing.
GHCR, Grant Houses Community Radio, home of the Community News Service.
Tina Dixon, love you. Dr. Harris, are you there?
I'm here.
Okay, so that's my next my 30-day challenge. 30 days of no complaining.
Sounds like a plan.
Yeah. And if I do slip, start over.
That sounds like a plan. Over. Yeah.
I could be up to day 29 and slip, complain, got to start from day one again.
Yes.
So I'm going to keep doing it because this is what the universe gives to me. Like he put me in a position to find that check.
Yes.
To be able to put a deposit into my good deeds bank account. That's what I look at that was. That was for me. Find a $900 check, Dr. Harris. I was able to put a deposit into my good deeds bank account.
Yes.
Huh. I love that. So now I want to do the complaining thing. I want to stop complaining for 30 days. Because I mean, I complain like everybody else. I complain about things. You know, so that's the plan. Any final thoughts? Dr. Harris?
Well, I'll tell you, Ricky, it's all about creating proper habits. You know, the cup challenge is one of the challenges that people use for many years. And the cup challenge says that you take, for 21 days, you take a cup and you set that cup upright. And in the morning, when you get up, you say, today is a great day for living, sharing, and being alive.
Okay.
At night, you take that cup and you turn it over and you say, today I did everything I could with what I had to do it with to make tomorrow the way I want it to be.
Yeah.
And you do that for 21 days. The next day, same thing. Today is a great day for sharing and being alive. Today I did everything I could with what I had to do it with to make tomorrow the way I want it to be. 21 days. And if you miss, you got to start over.
Right.
And let me tell you, man, that challenge, when I was doing that challenge, I missed like the 17th day. And I think that's why the discipline that you have to create success. The 17th day, I found myself in a club somewhere that night in an environment that I really didn't want to leave. I mean, I was in it, brother. But my cup was back home. And I had a choice. Do I leave that environment? And let's just say that environment was pretty. Or do I leave and go back home to keep my challenge? Or do I stay there in that environment and start over? And let me tell you something. I chose wrong.
Right.
I was overcome by the physicality of the moment. And I said, I'll just start over.
Right.
But anytime you make those kind of trade-offs, man, you feel real bad inside because you're literally saying, I'm throwing away 17 days.
Yeah, but to start over actually makes you more powerful. By starting over, makes you more powerful.
Well, it does, but I think I would have, it helped. Starting over made me learn something about myself, about my choices.
There you go. There you go. There you go.
So but that's a lesson I could have avoided and saved myself the extra time if I'd had the discipline already. So it's like boxing again. I couldn't go 12 rounds. But after I practiced, I could go 12 rounds.
That's right.
Okay.
So what did you think about this interview today? How do you feel about this interview today?
Well, I love it, man. I like the visual because it's a whole different program when I can see you and you can see me. And it has a different rhythm because we can see and experience each other.
Right. Okay. Well, I would like to do a follow-up to this interview.
Well, we can do that soon.
But the follow-up, I want Olivia Harris to be a part of it, to be sitting right next to you, so we could do a back and forth with you and her, and I want to know what she knows about this thing called personal development, because even now they are teachers too. They teach us.
Yes,
we teach them, but then they teach us too.
Well, we'll set that up. Olivia just walked into the studio. Olivia. I thought she came in the studio, but I think she heard us and decided to stay outside. But
okay,
I'll
well,
get
let her know.
That would be great, man. We do a lot of daddy-daughter stuff together, so that'd be fun.
Awesome. Dr. Harris, how if anybody want to reach you, how can they get a hold of you?
They can get a hold of me through my website, herbertharris.com, www.herbertharris.com, and email me at herbert@herbertharris.com. That's HERBERT @herbertharris, HARRIS.com.
Okay. All right. I want to thank you. I know you're going to have a fantastic day today. You want to enjoy the rest of the day. I'm going to share this with some of my closest people. so they can get some of this juice and see what happens from there.
All right, Ricky, thank you so much, my friend. Have a great, magnificent day.
We will touch somebody's life today because of this interview.
All right. Looking
forward.
Bye-bye now.
Thank you.